Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're going to try to give you a update. Some of the information hasn't changed from last evening's press release, press media report. My name is Gene Doherty, G-E-N-E-D-O-H-E-R-T-Y. I'm the Fire Chief and Emergency Management Director. Mayor Dan Rizzo, R-I-Z-Z-O, is going to be talking after, and we have our City Council here behind us. We have a number of other officials that are in the room. We have Mike Main from MEMA Area 1 that's been instrumental, and the mayor will say it too, but the biggest accolade I have to give right now is our DPW, Donnie Goodwin and Paul Argenzio. What a difference a day makes. It's truly amazing for what, as the mayor said, it was like a war zone here yesterday, and we actually were doing that media event yesterday. We picked the Legion because it was so devastated, and we got out there, all the trees were gone. We had no backdrop. That's how good and quick they were. It was really amazing. The tree companies are still out there. National Grid, Dan Cameron is here from National Grid, is going to speak a little bit. We can't say enough for National Grid for what they've been doing. Verdict's still out on Verizon. Hopefully they'll get those polls in. And, to give you just some quick facts before the mayor speaks, we're Benny DeCristoforo, our building inspector, and I have Lieutenant Ruggiero, Lieutenant O'Hara here from the PD, and Captain Guido, my deputy management director. Better, Captain? Yeah. Oh, all right. We stand noticed. All right. So the damage through Benny DeCristoforo, he has say that they posted 65 buildings that are deemed substantial damage. And after today, there's going to be another reassessment or further assessment for buildings that we might not have got to, or people were at work and didn't realize there was a lot of damage to maybe the back of the house, a tree come down, garages, things like that. So we're expecting that total to go over 100. Out of that total, 13 considered uninhabitable, and we're still at that number, which is a substantial number. And that includes dwellings and businesses. As you've seen most of the media reports, the businesses on Broadway, 2 different garages, one NC Auto, one Master Mechanics down at Broadway Circle, a small business down at the mid-500s on Broadway, numerous large signs and things that have come down. So there is substantial damage. We had substantial damage to a number of city buildings as well. City Hall, obviously, American Legion Post, the Senior Center, Central Fire Station, Revere High School, and there was damage to the Hill School that's under construction. We're hoping, and the mayor will go into it, we're going to set up a info center where we're going to, at the American Legion, where we're going to bring in the insurance companies, a number of carriers, and the Red Cross, MEMA, and people that will be able to provide citizens that have damage or are not fully knowledgeable of what their insurance will do and can do for them. And things about like hiring public adjusters and dealing with the insurance companies and how they can, how they'll have to put up with some of the damage as deductibles. So on the fire side, we did just about 100 incidents within an hour and a half, which is a lot for a department our size. We had 9 minor injuries during that period of time, from a 2-week-old baby that was a board went in the back of the parents' truck on Mountain Ave, and the baby was covered in small bits of glass and transported to a local hospital. It was fine, other than some cuts. The mother was more distraught. To an 86-year-old woman down by Dunkin' Donuts on Broadway that had a head laceration. So they were all minor injuries, obvious to us, but major to those people that had them. With that, Mayor Rizzo would like to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Before I talk a little bit about the storm and the aftermath, I want to acknowledge and recognize some people that obviously have been extremely helpful. Obviously, my colleagues here behind me who have been tremendous in calling in reports throughout their various neighborhoods to help us dispatch emergency personnel to take care of those needs. Our state delegation, I see Representative Vincent here, and obviously Speaker DeLeo and Senator Petroselli. They were here just about all day yesterday. I want to thank them for that. We have been in constant contact with our federal delegation. Congresswoman Clark was here yesterday, along with her staff, as was Senator Warren and Senator Markey, who I spoke to yesterday, and their staffs were both here as well to help the city through this incredible storm. I see Heather McNeil here from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department. They've had teams here to help us with the cleanup. Our Inspectional Services Department that has been dispatched across the city for virtually the last 24 hours. Our Public Works Department, who the Chief alluded to, has just done tremendous work. You'd never know, while there's still obviously some cleanup that needs to be done, to see where the city was yesterday and to see where we are today is nothing short of amazing. It's just been incredible. National Grid, you had 37 teams out there yesterday across the city. I believe 24 more last night, at least some in part to relieve those crews that had been there all day. To go from 2,800 families without power down to now well under 100, tremendous work to National Grid as well. And I know I'm probably leaving some people out, but I'm very, very grateful for everybody's hard work in this. I see Dr. Dakin here, you know, the high school. I think they're very, very fortunate. They had people in the building at the time the storm hit, and they had some real severe damage, not only to the building, but outside and around the building. And I've said this since yesterday. It is amazing to me that while a couple people were injured, that a storm, an EF2, EF1 tornado coming down our central business district at 9:30 in the morning on a workday, and nobody was killed or more seriously injured, is really a miracle. Mike Main from MEMA is here and has been here since yesterday, and they're trying to help the city. The governor was here yesterday, pledging his full support. I know the DCR has been here and helpful. Tom Glynn from Massport has sent tree crews over here, and as I say, Mike Main is here from MEMA to help the city and help guide us along as we continue to dig ourselves out. So our top priority, my top priority, continues to be the safety, security, and well-being of our residents. I think all of you that have been part of that effort to make sure that our residents are well taken care of has been effective, and I think that we're coming toward the end of any potentially life-threatening situations such as down power lines, things like that, that could have a very negative impact on our residents, has been pretty much resolved at this point. But we're going to continue to keep our eyes open for that. We will continue to send teams of inspectional services personnel around the city. As the Chief alluded to earlier, there are other homes that have been identified. We had a number yesterday that was just over 64, 65 homes that had significant damage, 13 homes that were uninhabitable. But there were a lot of people who may have been at work during the day when the storm hit, so it took us a while for them to come home last night and actually see what damage maybe in the back of their home and stuff like that that could have happened. So that number may have ticked up a little bit, but we're still continuing through our Inspectional Services Department to identify those particular situations. As I said yesterday, this cleanup effort is going to continue. We had street sweeping crews out here just after midnight to try and get a lot of the glass and leaves and other debris that was on our primary and secondary roads as a result of the storm. And I think they've done a tremendous job. So the level of cooperation that we've experienced both from our state and federal delegations to private and public organizations that have been here to help us. Our surrounding cities and towns, I can't tell you how much it means to me, for my colleagues in government, mayors from surrounding cities and towns that have called and lent their support and sent resources, public safety resources, inspectors. It's just really been a great collaboration, and so my heartfelt thanks goes out to all of them. At this time, Chief, I think I'll turn it back over to the Chief. I know I'm not sure if Dan Cameron from National Grid wants to give us an update, but again, my thanks goes out to everybody that's been involved in this effort. Linda, is everything going okay down at housing right now? Are you getting people back online with respect to power?
Pretty much. We have housing authorities from surrounding cities and towns coming in to help us with cleanup and debris, and we're bringing in sometime this morning a roofing company to give us an estimate on how much it would be to get those roofs repaired, and then we are working with the inspector to get those poles back up so that we can get electricity in.
Okay. All right. Dan, did you want to give an update, Chief, before Dan, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Dan Cameron. I'm with National Grid, and I'd just like to continue with the thank yous. Certainly a team effort, and we want to thank Mr. Goodwin and the DPW and the rest of the mayor's staff, clearing trees and roadways, the police department, the fire department, and so forth. And we did have a good day yesterday, as well as last night. Right now, we're down to about a handful of customers that are still out down on the Taft Street area, and that we're working that. It's backyard construction, difficult working conditions, but we're going to be working that today. And we have about another 100 or so customers in that vicinity that are out, and most of that is because their services are down and pulled away from the house. So we want to get the word out there that they will need to get a licensed electrician to put those services back, and they'll be working with the City Wiring Inspector Mike Conley to get those inspected. We have crews in the city. We'll have crews in here all day today. So as soon as those services are inspected, we'll be dispatching crews to get them reconnected. Another thing we're doing is all the areas that were damaged, we're sweeping those areas today. We're sending crews down the lines just to make sure if there are any branches from trees and loose wires and connections and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be continuing to work in the city until the last customer is restored. And we do have, I think, an issue down at the Housing Authority as well. I think our work is completed and some work that needs to be done on your side as well. So, but we'll be here all day.
Dan, thank you very much. And just before I bring the Chief up, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank our public safety crews, both on the fire side and the police side. Not only our own individual departments, the police department and the fire department, who under very difficult circumstances performed miraculously, but also the support that they received from surrounding cities and towns that were here not only yesterday but overnight to make sure, in particular, that these buildings that are uninhabitable were protected, from any possible problems. So, again, to the state police, the sheriff's department, and surrounding, surrounding cities. I know the city of Boston, all the surrounding cities just played a tremendous role in helping us because, as you can imagine, we're not only trying to deal with the immediate dangers of what was incurred during the storm, but the traffic gridlock was incredible, and so they really, as much as it was a very difficult situation, they kept it. It was managed chaos, as best that we could handle, and they handled it very well. So my thanks goes to them. So once again, Chief Gene Doherty.
I didn't mention that we did open a shelter yesterday afternoon. Dr. Dakin gave us the Rumney Marsh Academy Middle School that's down on American Legion Highway. the Greater Boston Red Cross sent personnel there. We had fire personnel as well, and we didn't get any visits. We maintained it till about 9 o'clock, and then the Red Cross was good enough. They actually went out into the neighborhood that was mostly affected and gave out various items from, food and water to some personal items that they do on a regular basis, and we're very grateful for their services. I also, I know the mayor is very pleased, amazed at his own staff, from Sophia and Debbie and Joyce and Miles and Frank. I don't want to forget Frank, right? For the staff, for the job they do, because they really are the ones that get barraged with most of the calls, and try to give the best services to the citizens. So it's a very difficult situation, because lots of times the citizens don't want to hear what they have to say, that, we are trying, and that it is a time frame that a lot of things aren't going to happen immediately. And with that, when I spoke about the informational center, we're going to set that up to, at least inform our citizens that what the services are that they could possibly get. It will be difficult, and most don't want to hear it, but in my opinion, on us getting any type of a real disaster aid. FEMA works, when they declare, we will request a declaration, but when they do bring those about, it's generally based on a county-wide situation. So obviously Revere and parts of Chelsea were hit, and so the total amounts for the whole county based on population is going to be very difficult. We'll be sending out assessment teams to do the public buildings and trying to get as much as we can out of the insurance companies as what they are assessing their people that have had losses in the properties. Any questions that we can hopefully answer? Yes, Seth from the Revere Journal.
When will workers be able to come back to City Hall? As soon as we know the building is structurally sound and that the necessary cleanup that will make this building presentable for both our employees and the general public. So we're going to work on that today. If we find out that we can open up tomorrow, we will. If it's going to take us another day, it'll take us another day. We want to make sure that when we open, we're not opening in a way that compromises the safety of our own personnel or the general public. I also just want to mention, before we go on with questions, we have other members of our emergency management team that are here, Paul Simonini and Paul Boudreau. I want to thank them. They've been out and about for the last 24 hours. And again, this has been a true team effort. Just about everybody, as I look around the room, I know the chief mentioned the Red Cross. While we didn't have anybody take advantage of the shelter, the Red Cross just simply didn't get up and leave. They actually went down into the neighborhoods and talked to residents to see what needs needed to be addressed. And so again, my thanks to the Red Cross, for doing what they always do, and that's helping people in the time of need. So any other questions for the chief or myself?
One other thing, we've got quite a few requests, people that would like to donate and things such as that. Right now, we're not looking for any type of goods, clothing or food, anything like that. I know the Red Cross has put it out with the media on their relief fund, and they have a 1-800 number. It is our hope that we do set up something with, I believe Miles has made a contact with a couple of lawyers that if we're going to set up a fund that people can send donations to an independent lawyer group that can manage it if people do need assistance later down the road.
Chief, can you again talk about the Emergency Services Center, also how you'll request any funds from the state or federal government?
Okay, the question is relative to the Emergency Service Center and how we're going to coordinate that with the federal and state government. We're going to utilize the American Legion Hall over here and try to invite as many agencies or carriers, insurance carriers as possible, and open it up to those people, the citizens that are affected. And it'll be the insurance companies, Red Cross, MEMA will be there. I started to talk about the declaration and about the countywide. There are other avenues that, MEMA will hopefully are going to push for us. lots of times, based on the amount of loss, FEMA will allow the SBA to come in and make low-interest loans to people that might not have that insurance coverage. Some of the businesses might be more affected by something like that. It may be a little easier for a business to get an SBA loan. Most people are going to have homeowners insurance. How much that covers for, you know, the natural act, I'm not too sure. But
They'll have coverage. I just want to follow up on what the chief said. I was talking with Representative Vincent and Senator Petroselli this morning. I will be in touch with the Insurance Commissioner, Joe Murphy, later on. I'm sure we'll have a conversation as to how we might be able to proceed with the various carriers that represent the homeowners that have had damage. And it's our intention to have those homeowners at a general meeting, as the chief just said, so that we can explain to them exactly how they can proceed through private insurance, and then what, if any, state or federal resources may be available to them. Before I take another question from Councilor Patch, I know he has a question. I want to also recognize, I know we heard from Dan Cameron and the great work that National Grid has done. I want to recognize Stanley Yusevich from Verizon, who's here. Their crews have been here in the city all day yesterday, all night long, and they have been a tremendous partner in this cleanup effort as well. So I want to thank you, Stanley, for you and your team over at Verizon and all your support. Councilor Patch, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know the subject was brought up yesterday at a meeting yesterday, but we weren't on local TV. Out of the many calls that I did get a couple that, believe it or not, people are worried about paying their taxes. And as you know, they're due, City Hall's closed, so, and they're due. So I think it's important to put it on the local TV that you extended the date.
Yes, we've extended the date. Depending upon the support we get from MEMA, we'll adjust their tax bills accordingly. But, that was only a joke. We have extended the deadline for tax payments to August 4th right now. That's the date. That's the best date that we have in front of us. That could change depending upon when City Hall opens, but right now it's August 4th. And just for the edification, as you alluded to, Councilor, this was not put on local access cable yesterday, where obviously a lot of people get information as to what's going on in the city. For those individuals that need building permits, because clearly there's a lot of homes that sustain damage, and they'll need to pull permits in order to perform the work, we are waiving the fees for these permits so that we can get, so that residents aren't further burdened by an already difficult situation. So, and the building department, Benny, I believe the building department is open now for those people that need to pull permits and want to get the work underway so that they can get their lives back on track. Okay, so.
In addition to that, the homeowners should understand, or businesses, that they're allowed to make emergency repairs to any of their properties prior to the insurance companies getting it, but they must take pictures of their damage and what they were going to do. So it's really critical that you do take photos of all your damage prior to doing any work, and then go that way. And also the City Hall is closed to the public, but the department heads and a good portion of the employees are here and still operating for the day-to-day business of the city's goings-on. So City Hall is open to the employees that are vital to the operations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I've been in touch with St. Jean's Credit Union, and they are willing to host any fund that is put together, so we can get that started if people do want to donate to a tornado fund in the city of Revere, and we can make arrangements for that once we pull things together. And also, any municipal employee that needs cash can go down to St. Jean's Credit Union in lieu of their Revere Municipal Employee Credit Union to offset while they're closed.
Questions relative to the dollar amount. No, just on city buildings itself, we initially talked with MEMA that we're anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million, and that was before I saw how much damage was actually done at the high school. So there's a considerable amount of damage at the high school. Dr. Dakin was explaining to us this morning that how the roof had peeled, the air handling units had actually lifted off the roof. The senior center, I explained yesterday, both their air conditioning units, I don't really know, a 5-ton or 6-ton, whatever they were, but a very large appliance. Both of them went about 40 or 50 feet. One hit a house, one hit a car right off the roof of the senior center. So the high school is quite a bit of damage, and we're estimating that $1.5 million to $2 million will probably go up substantially. Public damage relative to private dwellings, that's going to take us a little while, but that is very substantial. As our building inspector, Benny DeCristoforo, talked to the people at Commonwealth for Public Safety Office, that 13 buildings that are uninhabitable is quite an amount, specifically for a city, an urban city such as this. So that is a large amount. And if you're saying they're uninhabitable and you took a general figure of $350,000 to $400,000 for each home, that would give you a quick ballpark if they're in that realm of being totally totaled. The rest of the people have substantial damage. I mean, just tree removal work alone is going to be extremely expensive. And there were so many 2 to 3 foot trees that were uprooted. That's going to be quite a cost to quite a few people. I mean, the city end of it is amazing how many trees. Is Frank Stringy here? No. We're going to send Frank out to count how many trees went down. He's very upset with the Bradford piers. They would cut one right in front of him there. He was weeping. I'm sorry? Yeah, we have, as DPW Superintendent Goodwin says, most of these trees, they weren't just, I mean, some of them were just splintered at the top or cut off, but the ones that were uprooted obviously compromised the sidewalk. So that's cost, danger, things like that go down the line. Yes? I would defer to Dr. Dakin. Yes, he says it is. Nothing structurally. I mean, the outside wrap of the building was ripped off, part of the roof. So nothing that would put the occupants in danger, but just a lot of damage to the wrap of the building. Anyone? Well, I didn't believe it was a tornado. I'm saying, baloney, we're not going to get hit by a tornado, I mean, I kept saying microburst, but this microburst turned out to be a macroburst. So obviously, they said it went for almost 2 miles, 3/8 of a mile swath. So that was down Broadway. It went about a little more than a block to the west and 2 to 3, almost 4 blocks to the right, and right at the Chelsea line all the way to Broadway Circle. And again, like as the mayor said earlier, that it was a war zone. You come down Broadway, and actually I'll tell you how the fire apparatus. We got calls right off the bat, and everything from reports of fire to people trapped, and the fire apparatus were going down streets they couldn't even get to, and the firefighters were actually getting off the apparatus using saws that we normally would probably cut a hole in the roof to cut down a tree enough that they could get by. I mean, we're constantly rerouting apparatus because of the large trees that had blocked the streets. And it wasn't until noontime. Well, actually, at the 10:30 meeting, we had members of the National Weather Service. They had sent a team of 4 or 5 people that were coming in to do that assessment that they make that determines the EF status and things such as that. And they came right back, and I still didn't believe that it was a tornado. But to me, I didn't think as much damage as there was that it wasn't even more damage, for a tornado. But because you see those down the Midwest and the South, when they cut through, the whole houses are taken away in trailer parks. But we don't have that. But we lost every flag on Broadway, right? the mayor's Broadway. But there's a lot more damage than we thought. Central Fire, they were going out the door to one of the first calls and couldn't even get out. The flagpole from Central Fire snapped in half right down in front. Our message board flipped over. It was amazing. I mean, truly amazing to see it all going on and people get knocked over and blown over and cars actually moving. You can't believe the effect that wind did have. That's still going to be a few days, right, Mike? I mean, that's a tough one to. I mean, I could throw out a figure there, but it'd be pulling it from you know where. But I mean, it's very hard. I mean, even
Hard right now. We're
trying to
still
do 100
identifying
homes.
We're actually, as I said earlier, we still have inspectional service teams going neighborhood by neighborhood, still looking and quantifying and identifying the damage. So it's going to take us a little while. You know, it's hard to believe. It seems like we've been at this for a while, but it's barely been 24 hours right now since the storm hit us. So a lot of what we're doing, we're still, as much as we're in a cleanup mode, but we're still we're still somewhat in investigatory mode as well. So. Yeah, so we had extra crews out. As I say, we had our own police department out there. We had extra units on patrol. We had, I believe, Captain, we had units from Winthrop as well. Winthrop, Everett also assisted us. The city of Boston, I know, had cruisers here. Yeah, and so, you know, when we talk about looters, it was just, you know, we had received reports of, you know, some metal that was in the street and people coming around picking up metal. And, you know, again, on a list of priorities of, you know, 1 to 10, that fell far below 1. So, you know, we really, you know, our goal is to make sure that, you know, people are safe, that properties that were in jeopardy, you know, were stabilized, and that, you know, the cleanup effort obviously went into full swing, and we're still there right now. So, yeah. Chief, you have any idea?
Within a day or two.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as we can, absolutely. You know, we haven't set up a specific separate phone number. We're asking people if they feel as though that they see a situation that they are uncomfortable with, or you know, or feel can be a danger to themselves or others. We're just having them call 911, and we're going to, I believe, continue with that. Or we're certainly getting calls in my office. You know, people can you know, continue to do what they've been doing. If they're not calling 911, typically they're calling the mayor's office, and the chief alluded to it, and I can't thank my staff enough. They have been tremendous. They've been here obviously all day yesterday, and when you think about it, just all the employees here in this building that had no clue what was happening to them, little did they know they were an EF2 tornado and windows and doors blowing out of here at City Hall. It was a very, very traumatic experience for people. I've never experienced a tornado. We're not obviously in Tornado Alley. We're not used to getting tornadoes here. We can deal with the biggest of snowstorms. But when it comes to a tornado, this was brand new territory for all of us. And to have all of our city employees here yesterday, not knowing what was happening as their windows and doors were blowing out around them, and then not having anybody receive any serious injuries was really a miracle. So I'm very grateful for all of our employees, not just those that were involved in the cleanup effort and the emergency response effort, but our employees here in City Hall that had to endure what they did. You know, I'm just on a personal level very, very grateful for their safety, and that's why I say we're not going to open up City Hall until I'm 100% confident that this building is safe for our employees and the general public. So, anything further? That's it. I want to thank all of you. I don't know in terms of future meetings. I'm not so sure we're going to have any meeting in this type of venue. Yeah, so we'll make an announcement once the information center, once we know that's going to be open, we'll get that word out to everybody. But in the meantime, I know that those of you that are involved and continue to be involved in restoring order here in the city are going to continue doing what you're doing. We're going to be in constant contact. So, but I want to thank all of you once again on behalf of the administration and the residents of our community for the work that you've done so far. It's only been 24 hours, and as I drive around the city, while there's still, obviously residents are going to have to deal with a lot of hardship that they're facing right now with downed trees and broken fences, things like that. By and large, the city is back in business, so I want to thank everybody for their hard work in that. Okay? Thanks very much.